We're going to move on to something a little bit different, Dan, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion on this, okay?
Hmm.
Uh, Now, this will probably be like, Jesus Christ, kid, why are you bringing this to my attention? And to the audience, I understand where you're coming from with this, too. I am only talking about these nuisance streamers. I know that's why I brought Daniel in on this one, okay? Because Daniel's like, okay, well, we've talked about these nuisance streamers, these criminal nuisance streamers before. And Vitaly, I want to give a huge shout out to people like Legal Mindset, Eric Cabrera, and, Tozy, and so many others that have been calling them out. But it's official. He could be facing up to 18 months in the Philippine prison with more charges to come. And he's had this whole change of, oh, I'm praying to God now. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. Which, look, hey, if you find faith, I'm fine with it. Okay. You find God or you find something to motivate you to be a better person. I'm actually okay with this. I'm okay with people getting second chances. I really am. And I'm just speaking for myself here. But Daniel, before I pull up this article, your thoughts on the criminal nuisance streamers that we see on Twitch, Kick, YouTube.
I'm actually glad we're talking about it. It's a nice, interesting topic. Again, it's like, I don't know if we have any experience with heavy narcissistic people that want to become famous at the cost of other people's lives and livelihoods so that they can. We don't have any real experience with people like that, I'm sure. So I don't know how we could possibly have a personal connection and deep empathy for the Philippine government having to deal with people trying to cause a nuisance and be as disruptive as they possibly can so that they can I don't know if we could ever relate to this kind of a story at all. I don't know.
Well, it's more of like, here's the thing. A lot of these nuisance criminal streamers have built themselves up. And look, here's the thing. I want to read something here. Patrick says he's already going to jail, Kit. Why continue talking about this? It's because there are other people trying to do what Vitaly or Johnny Somali are doing, and I don't like it. And they all need to be held accountable. And unfortunately, YouTube, as much as I like Kick, and then there's Twitch, you know, I'm not being pro censorship when I'm saying this. What I want to see happen is when you have these criminal nuisance streamers going to shrines or temples that are 1,000 years old or older, when you have people harassing men, women on the streets that are not, in America, okay, but somewhere else in a different country doing all of this, it makes all of us suffer more, even if you're going to a country as a tourist. All right. Because I would love it. Heartlands Media has a nice little budget. We build ourselves up, we're going back out there, going international.
It'd be nice if we could do that. It would be nice if we could direct our money at
Yeah.
that, but oh well.
Oh, well, too bad. But, if we go, there's a lot of paper. And look, even then, we would follow the rules, do the paperwork. But that means if you're a brand new content creator, so do you. Because Japan is implementing these laws, South Korea is implementing these laws, and they have to be enforced. And here's the thing. As a independent media network, we do commentary and analysis. And even if you're a tourist, if you say, let's say you don't follow the law, right? Traveling is a privilege. Having a passport is a privilege. And if you say, oh, we're there to film, and you're there on a traveler's passport, they have every right to turn you around, get you on your airplane, and boom, fly you out. Now, there was a point where they didn't enforce this, okay? And maybe on the one hand, okay, it was a little bit easier. Nobody cared. Now people are going to care. And when you pull out that phone, if you're in Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, Thailand, wherever else, you are going to get that raised eyebrow of, are you going to be an American doing something stupid? And so that's why I'm talking about this, because it does impact us, because then it could lead to further suppression and censorship for good content creators, not just independent media, but all of us. And it hurts us all. And Legal Mindset broke it down perfectly about why they have to be held accountable. And the consequence is this: more rules and regulations put onto us because of these clowns. Go ahead, Dan.
I think you said it really well. It may seem like a smaller story, but again, it's not just what a thing is in the moment, it's how it unpacks over a period of time. And effectively, the result of nuisance streamers, especially in Asia, is that if you're a regular person, okay, wants to go back to Japan at a point, because of these streamers, he's now going to have to do an additional piece of paperwork, and I'm sure get some dirty looks and have his paperwork verified when he eventually is able to be freed from the current grip that he's in and allowed to visit Japan.
Yeah, and so I would say this here too. It's not that I'm obsessed with this. It's more of I'm concerned about the fallout from this because I've been saying, folks, for a long time, there's going to be a censorship wave put upon us. And while this isn't one of the keystones to it, it matters because we're all going to get hit by this in some form or another. And I understand it's not the most popular subject here, but it should serve as like a warning of, oh, maybe the reason why you're not being notified is because of these nuisance streamers. Now, some have actually compared them to shock jocks back in the day. There's a difference between the shock jocks and these in real life streamers. And I understand you can't stop people from being jerks. I get it. But these people who are really abusing these platforms have nothing in comparison to some of the shock jocks. And yes, they've done some controversial stuff. All those skits from the shock jock era, and we wonder what's a shock jock. Well, these were like controversial radio hosts. Some of that stuff was fake and made up, and they would admit it later on. Like, again, whole other story altogether. So what is Vitaly facing off against? Well, Vitaly decided to stream during a presidential election in the Philippines. And if the other president was in charge, I'm quoting Trump here, not good. Believe me, not good at all. So streamer and YouTuber Vitaly is facing 18 months in Philippine prison and could also face new charges thrown his way. At the start of April, Vitaly was arrested after a series of controversial broadcasts. In these, he appeared to harass locals, steal, attempt to kiss a security guard, tried out with a Chicago police officer, see what happens, and even try to seize a firearm, tried out with a Chicago police officer, see what happened. His cameraman was also arrested, which I call into question because I have not been able to find video proof and evidence on this, and I would defer to legal mindset on this one because his cameraman's still streaming on Kick. So this article needs to be looked at a little bit more. The former Kick streamer has remained in custody in Philippines since April 3rd. Eric warned you, buddy, and was even put in front of the media as representatives from the Philippine Bureau of Immigration denounced nuisance streamers. There have been reports that Vitaly will be trapped in jail hell for 3 years. Jail hell is a bit of an understatement because it's worse than hell, I would say, but is now more likely to face, he faces a maximum of 18 months behind bars. Vitaly's charge, very easy to prove, according to expert. According to new information from Legal Mindset, shout out to him, who know that Vitaly's attorney has filed for bail. Even if found guilty, he may be facing a sentence up to 18 months, a year and a half in the Philippines. So this is a very important turning point, the legal YouTuber said. Vitaly has 3 counts of unjust vexation against him. The estimate, once again, on the low end is 1 to 3 months behind bars or up to 18 months, Legal Mindset added. He also added that unjust vexation is very easy charge to pass in the Philippines. It's been described as one of the easiest, most simple things to prove. So they're starting with the simplest thing to prove, but it doesn't prevent them from adding more later on. So again, Vitaly, at least from what we're hearing behind bars, is that Vitaly is crying. He's having meltdowns. Look, it's a bit of an understatement to say that the man was not on something or he's not even taking supplements. His mind and body are suffering from severe breakdown and withdrawal. And he's claiming that he's changed and he's very apologetic. I don't know if that's going to go well in the Philippine government, especially with the actions that the Philippine government did, such as do public broadcasts denouncing him and the president even doing a YouTube reaction video. Jesus, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the fact that the president did it sort of... Here's the thing, I guess, from our point of view. I guess it's really nice for us to watch someone do incredibly narcissistic criminal actions that they openly film and put out there, hoping that people side with them and get money, just be crushed back into reality. And I think that, again, we have a little personal connection to that sort of a concept playing out.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's like we're watching the future happen in the present with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And look, I'll just leave it here because I listen. I know how to read the audience, and I know you guys don't like it when I do talk about this. But on another note, why is this important? It's because the blowback, the consequence. Because as soon as these foreign countries, again, YouTube, Kick, that I know definitely Kick is spreading its wings out. It's Kick, in my opinion, will overrun Twitch. That's just my opinion. If I'm wrong about it, okay, well, I was wrong. But Twitch is going under. Kick is rising up.
I'm going to clarify one thing.
Go ahead.
Kick isn't going to overrun Twitch. Twitch is going to implode, and therefore Kick is going to rise.
Okay, that's far better assumption. But even then, or analysis, sorry. When it comes down to Kick, the the issue at hand with Kick is that as it expands, it's going to want it to get in different markets, and it's going to want to reach out to more content creators. And Kick has been very pro content creator. They're just not favoring one person over another, because I've had some very good interactions with Kick, especially online, trying to build a show up there and everything else in between. But Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, Thailand, I mean, there's it's ample ground for great content creation. And so will there be an overreaction, knee-jerk reaction to every single content creator now by implementing more guidelines, censorship? Because if YouTube will do it, because soon a human at YouTube is going to realize, oh, wow, we've been promoting some really big scumbag people doing criminal actions. There's that knee-jerk reaction. And thus, in turn, you, our audience, are going to be asking us, why was I unsubscribed? Why am I not being notified? And yes, it's still happening now, but I could see that pressure being turned up and up and up and up and up. So this is a problem. I don't like these criminal nuisance streamers, and need to be stopped before there are more helpful guidelines to, be implemented, because it is difficult to have a media network and then deal with more guidelines from these online platforms. They're in place. Believe you me, they're in place, but we got to stand up to these criminal nuisance streamers. And so I am hoping that the Philippines remain consistent. Do I sympathize or feel sorry for Vitaly? I would be embarrassed if that was me. I would be humiliated if that was me. But then again, I'm not going to go into somebody's face with the camera saying I'm going to do this or that or everything else. But I would be embarrassed if that was me. I don't feel sorry for him, because Eric Cabrera, who I interviewed on the show, and who just said, like, look, I gave him a warning. Don't be a jerk. Don't do this. And Vitaly didn't listen. And so now he's dealing with the consequences of a country that's not America. And Vitaly's not an American. He's a Russian. And I don't think Putin's come to his aid.
The other thing that we keep in mind is that it's situations like this that lawmakers think about when they pass bills.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, people might say, this is a small issue. Why are you talking about this? And I see a few people in chat, but it's really a much bigger issue because of what it could lead to. This is really a story about, if this isn't handled properly or done right, this could really be, because again, let's say in the future, okay, there's a lot of reasons that a lot of countries want to clamp down on social media.
Yep.
There's a lot of reasons. Let's not give them more. And this is a very specific story that all of Asia is talking about in their own way.
Yep.
That is when politicians are thinking about writing laws in these countries, this is the stories that they're thinking about when they do it. And that affects us, but it also affects you eventually, depending on how it plays out. And then if Asia passes a bunch of these laws, guess what's going to happen? A bunch of other countries are going to go, man, maybe we should pass our own laws as well. So Vitaly might seem like a small issue now, but it's like a spark in a fire. If it's not handled properly, the entire forest can burn. And so it's really important right now that, I think, with Johnny Somali in South Korea, that Americas are like, yeah, this guy's a jerk. We're not going to ask for him back. And Vitaly, Russia, or America aren't asking for him back either.
No, America can't get him back. He's not a U.S. citizen.
But my point is still that what this could lead to is actually a super big deal.
Yeah. And by the way, if he does convert to Catholicism, probably might be a good idea to lay off the priests. Well, the thing is, okay, Vitaly is saying he's finding religion in God. That's what his lawyer's doing. And look, he has a right to defend himself. I'm all for due process and everything else, but it's just so much has been said and done where I think even if the government did want to let him go, they've already said too much, making him an example for him not to do anything, because then what was that reaction video for? And then there's been a couple of press conferences too. It's like, as much as maybe both sides want to end it, maybe the government put itself in a situation where it's like, well, okay.
And again,
he's going to face them. So maybe he faces again, I will defer all legal expertise to legal mindset. He'll probably have the more correct analysis, but then again, like in some form or another, Vitaly is facing some kind of jail time, maybe a year, but don't quote me on that. But if not, they're going to probably make him a full example. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, it's going to happen. But then again, there's the blowout and the fallout from this, as Daniel explained perfectly. So there you go.